with my friend and colleague, the gentleman from Texas, that this is a sad day, but perhaps sad for different reasons. This whole process has become such a sham. The underlying purpose at the beginning of these hearings was that, as was the title of one of the first hearings we had, a hearing on the basis for an impeachment inquiry against President Joseph R. Biden. And at that hearing, the Republicans and the Democrats had an opportunity to bring witnesses forward that would actually provide evidence to the committee so that we could make a decision to substantiate or to undermine the call for an impeachment. And we sat in this hearing, and the Republicans brought their witnesses in, and I had to admit, witnesses that had considerable experience and expertise and impressive resumes. And so we asked them, so this is the big moment. We asked these expert witnesses that the Republicans had brought in, are there any basis or underpinnings that would warrant an impeachment inquiry at this point? And these witnesses had reviewed almost all of the 14,000 documents that have been provided, transaction reports, Treasury reports, and I'll give you the answers. These are the Republican witnesses. This is Jonathan Turley and I think Bruce Dubinsky was a consultant. One witness said, and I quote him, he did not believe that any of the current evidence would support articles of an impeachment, close quote. That's the Republican witness that you had your moment. You had your moment to bring in the witnesses.
Would the gentleman yield?
No, I will not yield. I will not yield. The other witness that the Republicans brought forward against President Biden, he said under questioning he had no basis to even suggest that there was corruption, fraud, or any wrongdoing on the part of the president. Now, we are all familiar with Hunter Biden's, his conduct. There have been explanations of his drug addiction that have been widely publicized, something that maybe a few families of members of this committee might be familiar with, when people go sideways because they're addicted to drugs. But the very moment to pursue the underlying purpose of these hearings has been completely diverted. There's been no evidence brought forward against the President of the United States. And as to this witness coming here today, or his reluctance to submit himself to private investigations, can be, I think, credibly explained given the lack of trust that has surrounded these hearings. There have been story after story about leaks coming from those private interviews. Blatant misinformation and disinformation that the chairman and other members of the committee have offered to the press. So-called bombshells, that's what it was on Fox TV, bombshells, turned out to be a dud, turned out to be completely false. But under the auspices of this committee, those members, including the chairman, put out these stories in the press because they could not be refuted. They were not subject to cross-examination. They were not provided for or provided by any credible witness. That was just made up in the minds of the chairman of those members. That's why this gentleman wanted to testify in public, so someone could not distort his statements and leak them wrongfully to the press. Mr. Chairman.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Luna for 5 minutes.
This contempt proceeding is about upholding the rule of law. You know, with recently